Let's go.
Can I talk?
Yeah, well, of course we can talk. I usually just waiting for it to run out, but here is already recording, and it sounds like we already put on live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Astro Night Live.
Hi everyone, how are you?
How are you, Alejo?
I'm fine. I'm happy to be here.
It's quite interesting because, there is a link between the YouTube and the Zoom. So I'm like, which one I should follow? And I'm also
Mhm.
listen to you from here. And in the beginning, I have listened to you from the YouTube, so I have to mute it. So that's uh, that's a pretty challenging things to have to do it at one go. Listen to several different things, and I get
Oh my
confused.
God. Yeah.
so, well, I think at this moment, today we have our topic because we are going to talk about the combination of the chart, not chart for different person, but the combination in the chart, combination
Of
in the
different
chart
parts of the chart.
for
Yes.
different part of the chart, and that is a sense. To be honest, if you can get the essence of it, and that is kind of different. Astrology have different ways to do it, and also there is a few basic things we can do, but today we will go to expand it a little bit with different idea to blend in. But before we start that, I think it's something quite interesting because at this moment we have the two planets are both going to retrograde early next week or over the weekend. Let me say that. So one is Venus. It's going to at this moment it's stationary, but going to retrograde from I think either Sunday evening or Monday morning, depending on where you are. And then also Chiron is going to stationary and retrograde very soon. So we have like a that kind of slow down energy. So and I ask all the colleagues I work with, like a thumbnail for on a Wednesday and different astrology. I always ask, how do you interpret about Venus retrograde?
Okay, so for me, Venus retrograde is very important actually,
Mm-hmm.
because when the fast-moving planets like Mercury, Venus, and Mars, when they go retrograde, I think it's important. It's
Uh-huh.
not like Saturn and Jupiter, they always go retrograde, and all of the others. They always go retrograde many months in many months in a year because they go retrograde basically when they're starting to do the trine. So
Yeah.
it's Mars sometimes with a square, right? But the others,
Mm.
when the sun is starting to do the trine with them, they go
Mm-hmm.
retrograde. And because they are so slow and the sun is so fast, this happens
Mm-hmm.
often. But the quick moving planets, I find the retrogradation of quick moving planets interesting. And I think it's
Yeah.
an opportunity for them to have a long lasting impact in our lives. Like usually because
Mm-hmm.
they're very quick. So when we look at transits, we pay more attention. Like when we're doing like the year forecast, we usually pay more attention to the slow moving planets
Yeah.
because they're going to do more hits in the different parts of the chart, or they're going to stay for a longer period of the chart in the same house, so we
Yeah.
can see like clearly in which area of life this is happening, so we see a process unfolding, right? Instead, the
Yeah.
other planets are moving so fast that if they make a hit, it's usually 1 or 2 days, so it's something temporal, it's not so long lasting. But when they retrograde, they are actually going to hit some element of the chart at least 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, so it's an interesting period to see. First of all, and particularly with Venus and Mars, they don't retrograde all the time. It's not like Mercury.
Mm, true. Yeah.
So,
Very
wh-
rare.
exactly when they retrograde, it's an interesting period to see
Mm-hmm.
what's happening in the
Yeah.
area of the chart where they are retrograding, or
Mm-hmm.
in contact with which element they are retrograding.
Mm-hmm.
So with Venus, it's about our sense of self-worth
Mm-hmm.
and our sense of worth in general. What do we find valuable? So when she retrogrades, I think she's asking herself to ask ourselves this question: what is it that you find valuable, and
Mm-hmm.
how is that representing the kind of relationships you take in your life, and
Mm-hmm.
the kind of love you take for yourself in your life, and the kind of love you give to others. So if you find someone valuable, are you expressing that you value this person in your life, and how are you expressing that? And the same way, and the other way around, if is this person expressing that they find you valuable? And also we could say this with things, I mean, not only people, but with things, with activities, with hobbies, with places. How are we expressing love, and how is this place perhaps expressing love backwards, right? Of course, it's going to depend on which area of the chart Venus is doing this retrograde motion. So if it's in the fourth house, it may have to do with your family, and it may have to do with your home also. How are you expressing love to your home, and how is your home expressing that she loves you? I don't know why home for me it's feminine. She loves you. To
Oh yeah,
gender
in
bias, I
Spanish.
guess. And if it no, so with it, depending on which house it is, you can see like in which area it is. And then the other thing I take into account, of course, in this case, Venus is retrograde in Leo, so there is a question about how we enjoy life. You know, like Leo has this kind of childlike quality that life is wonderful, and we're just here
Yeah.
to live life the fullest. And so I think it is a question about how are you able to express authentically who you are, what you enjoy, what makes you
Yeah.
feel alive, without being judged, like trusting that you're going to be accepted for that. You know, it's like be
Yeah.
proud of your way of loving. This is Venus in Leo. Venus in
Yeah.
Leo is telling us no matter what you love, no matter how you love, no matter how you express your love, be proud of that. And then the last thing I would think about, I'm sorry, am I talking too much?
No, never.
The last thing I would think about is Venus has a weird, not a weird, but a special way of retrograding. And she has been retrograding in this area of the zodiac 8 years ago. So
Yeah.
every 8 years, the retrogradation happens in a similar area of the zodiac.
Yeah.
So I think an interesting point is to think about what was happening 8 years ago in your life with that area of your life, and how and what have you done with that area of your life after whatever happened 8 years ago, and how are the situations that you're living now connecting with that and trying to help you reassess, because probably 8 years ago there was a reassessment of value. I perfectly
Ooh.
remember I was going, like in my case I was going in a relationship crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So how are things right now resonating with what happened then, and with the decisions that you made then, that hopefully were decisions that you made bearing in mind what you find worth, where you find worth, where you find value, how do you express that, how do you express love, what kind of love you want to accept. So how does that resonate with whatever is happening now? So you can make wise decisions because it's connected to whatever happened 8 years ago.
Yeah, it is very interesting. I think the one thing, a beauty of the Venus retrograde is about how we find our inner value, and also all the retrograde planet. As that, I focus on the retrograde motion, the way they work. Is because the only other planet going one direction, the same direction is like the train. Everyone in this society, we all think about the least is the beauty, but the retrograde planet has to be there. Let me put it in that way, to work in another direction, and
Yes.
especially when Venus going to working on another direction, it tell you that we have a unique beauty, we have a unique sense of value, and that will be very brave to display it in front of everyone. And at this moment, I think the combination of the Venus retrograde in Leo, and that is like I am proud to be that unique one. But there is always a question mark there. We will always ask ourselves, is that true? Or is that true sense of value? And am I really appreciated? Or am I just am I really trust myself? And with Chiron step in, that is combination. What are we going to do today? It's like you ask what's the sense? What's the sense that where is there a singular thing when they both retrograde, and you would say, oh, retrograde may be related to inner or before or something. You put the things together. And I'm not making assumption, but it's like, okay, we can question what they related either in our inner body, or maybe these things related to before, but some astrologers like doing this. But quite interesting is that during this time, I think we have to be like find the things we enjoy most from our heart, or not is just focus on the surface on of the comfortable or beauty. That is my interpretation of the Venus retrograde. So
Yeah, very
are
nice.
we? Yeah, are you going to make any comment, or are we going to move into the combination in the
I'm
chart?
thinking it's very interesting to bring them together because they're both in fire signs.
Yeah,
And in some way, Chiron is about, now that's in Aries, it's about um, finding your own strength, right? So
yeah,
with Venus retrograde, finding your own sense of value,
yeah,
both retrograding, so going inwards to find that. I think there is a dialogue there.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, it was quite interesting because I don't know why the setting of my YouTube, and I couldn't see the dialogue before, but until now, I don't know what's the problem. It's so funny because they were
Retrograde.
setting, yeah, they were setting in the private, and I don't know why, how on the earth I set in a private message. So now I finally turn on the public discussion, so I can read the message from YouTube now. So if you have any question, and we are going to discuss about the combination of the chart, and if you ever send me message last couple of weeks and I never responded, please forgive me because it was setting in private video, so I couldn't see anyone send me message. But now I turned it back. I don't know how I did it either. It's just while Alejo talking, I went back to settings. Like, have I clicked
Have
anything?
powers.
Oh yeah, your power. Thank you for your power, magic power. All right, Alejo, let's go to our main theme is combination in the chart. I think for the beginner, this is super important because chart is like this. Let me share my experience when I was young, a young astrologer, and then I don't know how to do the chart. But I shouldn't say I don't know how to do the chart. I believe when people want the chart reading with me, I'm reading them chart from Sun to Pluto, one after another. And then from
Ah,
first house to the 12th house. And then when I finish, it's like, I'm confused. And
yeah, no,
my
it's not
client is
a
also
good
confused.
way to go.
It sounds so complicated. In one way, I feel loved. In another way, I am very, very dare to love a lot of people. In another way, so it's about to put things together, the combination and put
Yeah.
things together. Without that, usually I talk to my student and I kind of a joking with them, say that the way to talk in that way, if we don't do the integration, if we don't do the combination, the way talk like that, it sounds like we talk someone who really has a multi personality at the same time and doing the different thing, love different thing. And that could be true. I don't want to say that's impossible. That could be true, but maybe we should learn how to put things together. And that was the first step. That is very interesting. I think usually when you met other astrologer or other people who love astrology, we usually ask you, what is your big three? And I said, what?
Yes.
Yeah, what is your big three? Well, for big three is ascendant sign, sun sign, and the moon sign. Yes, I mean these three is very easy to talk. In fact, they are more important than the other. Yeah, maybe for some astrologers they think they are more important than the other part of the chart. But they are for me they are much easy to understand by the beginner.
Mm.
So we usually put them out, but it is also very easy to see. It's very easy to see or very easy to describe. And that usually the integrate or how to put combination of these big three are become kind of a beginner's practice. How do you think about that?
I think, I mean, they are important. The sun and the moon are the biggest, the strongest lights in the
Hmm.
sky.
Hmm.
So that has to have a meaning.
Yeah.
And so I feel they are very important. Yes,
Hmm.
they're very prominent, I would say. Of course, every chart is different, and in some charts, maybe there are other things that seem to take prominence, like if you have an angular planet or if you have stellium,
Hmm.
these kind of things. And then I would say, to me, the rising sign is the most important factor in the chart
Hmm. Hmm.
because it's the most personal factor. Because
Hmm.
I don't want to go so much into the
Yeah.
astronomy of it,
All right.
but let's say that the sun and the moon are on the same sign for everyone who was born at that time.
Yeah.
But the rising sign specific for that place and that
Uh-huh.
time is not only subject to time but
Got
also
it.
to place.
Yeah.
So it's very specific. It's the incarnation
Oh my
of
God.
that cosmic
Yeah. When
image.
you when you start this idea, I immediately thinking about that word you just mentioned, incarnation. Well, I'm not hyper or super spiritual way when I learn in astrology. I'm more like a dark by faculty and more psychological. And I never feel comfortable to talk about karma, soul, karmic, and the
Ah,
spiritual way. I never learned that way. So it's interesting. So I'd be very careful when I apply the word incarnation and the reincarnation. Also, a lot of my tutor are into that way. But it's very interesting. I like the idea. So I have to hold back to ask you some other silly question next time. But but I love the idea is if we're talking about the incarnation, that means the soul and the body meet each other.
well, we
Uh,
could say it. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
yeah. So the location of the ascendant exactly is very important. Is one particular, like you say, at that time, sun and moon are in the sign for all around the world, no matter you are in New York or China or Australia. But the ascendant would be in different place, and that is a key, the unique key. So for you are you. You are unique. You now are not like yeah. You could have find your astrological twin who have the same sun sign, moon sign, all the planets are same, but you are born in different place. Then the ascendant are different.
Yes. So this is the idea. I say incarnation, not so much in the soul incarnates, in the sense that the 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 landscape
Mm-hmm.
that the I should say the
Uh huh.
skyscape that
Mm-hmm.
the planets are painting
Mm-hmm.
gets summoned into this person, right?
Uh huh. Uh
This
huh.
rising sign is like my personal take on this
Uh
celestial
huh.
sky,
Uh huh.
on this celestial picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very personal. And yeah, like you were saying, if you're born on the 21st of March, everyone has the sun in Aries.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
depending where you were born, the sun was in the 10th house, or maybe the sun was setting, or it was rising, so
Yeah.
it's going to be different. And the same with the rest of the planets. I have met my astrological twin, a guy who was born, I think it was 3 hours before I was born in a
Mm.
different place.
Uh huh.
So it's not exactly the exact same time, but almost for 3 hours.
That is
Very, very
that is
close.
twin enough.
And it's so interesting because we are so alike and at the same time we're so different. It's so weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when friends that we have in common are at the same place and we're having an argument or something, they usually say that you're so much alike. And
Oh
then at some
really?
points they're like, "How come you have the same child? You're so different." He's much more traditional, and
Uh
I'm much
huh.
more like trying to break
Okay.
the status quo, and it's because of our rising signs.
Oh, lovely. That is very interesting. I think it is true. The rising sign is the how we see the world is the lens. It's the
Exactly.
lens we see the world and how we filter information in and out. So that could be even the core is the same, but we express it. We going to display in a different way, and that really have different flavor.
And
So,
from then, of course, all
yep,
of the planets fall in different houses.
yeah.
So you can see how usually we're experiencing similar feelings, but in
Hmm.
different areas of life. It's such an interesting experience.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so should we step into the combination of these big
Yes.
three? Okay. So the combination of these big three, well, depend on how we're going to do that. But usually we will try to understand the they have their different function that is the astrological 101 that we I think for a long time. I mean, we run our 10 minutes astrology for 1 years now, and we talk about the ascendant, moon, and the sun. So the basic things we have to know from I will start it and Alejo, please make more comment. So the ascendant is how we connect with the world and our
Yes.
appearance, or maybe like um, how I see the world and me how I connect with the environment. This is ascendant for me, and then the moon is how I feel. That's basic, and what I need, how I nourish, or you know, how I just like enrich myself, like a
Yes.
food. But the sun is how I shine, and what I'm chasing, what I'm fighting, what I'm looking for, what I want to get. Okay, we can all go to different way combination. That is usually how I take it. And Alejo, would you add anything? Would you add
No, I
things
think
in?
it's perfect. I think I would say the moon is usually kind of something given, something that we do unconsciously. And
Mm-hmm.
the sun, sometimes we're not so much aware that it's, like we're so influenced by sun
Mm-hmm.
sign astrology that we think, I'm a Scorpio, this
Yeah,
and that, I'm
I
Libra.
supposed to be this and that.
Yeah, and it's more like
Yeah,
a quest to become that, right? If
yeah,
we
yeah.
get, if we can get to express our sun,
Mm,
we're gonna feel alive. And I think
yeah,
sometimes the problem with many of us is that we have been confused about
yeah.
who we really are or who
Mm-hmm.
we really could become.
Uh-huh.
So we haven't stepped into our sun. And when we do something,
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's start from here. Then we added something in. All right. So we give a. Should we find an example to
I
start
think we
with?
had some people texting us back
Okay.
on Instagram asking for
Yeah.
some,
Yeah.
or I
Maybe
don't
we
know if
should.
somebody on the YouTube they want to ask for something.
Yeah. Well, yes. I haven't seen anything, but they are welcome. Okay. So for our audience on YouTube, I know few of people are watching it. So if you are happy to share your the big three, and we discuss that, please share it with me, and with or without your name, please let me know. Okay. Well, oh, already, wow, we have one just immediately. Come out. Okay. So
Is
um
the Leo?
let me see. No, Angel. Angel say Sag rising, Scorpio sun, Libra moon. Okay,
Ah,
Alejo, it's on you.
nice. So it's Sagittarius rising, Scorpio sun, and Libra
Yes,
moon, right?
yes, yes.
So Sagittarius rising. So first of all, and should I start or you start?
I say you start. Oh, if you want me to start, I can do that.
I mean, I think it's very interesting because
Yeah.
it's Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius. So first of all, there is
Mm,
this sense of development that's
yeah.
possible, of bringing
Mm,
together these three different energies, but um, they kind of give birth to each other, right?
yeah.
So the difficulty perhaps might be that the Libra moon, what they want, what they need is
Mm,
balance to feel
yeah.
life is nice. There's this need for detachment perhaps, or
Mm-hmm.
rationality, or being able to step back and make sure that everything is okay, that everything is harmonious, that everything is in a kind of an equilibrium, that nothing is too upsetting, too direct, too dark or gloomy or conflicting. This
Mm-hmm.
kind of need for avoiding conflict, which
Mm-hmm.
goes very well with the Sagittarius rising, right? That it's very
Mm,
optimistic, outgoing. Life
yeah.
is an adventure. Let's just go. Let's just go to the adventure and see what we discover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So these two might kind of get along better. They are both air and fire are considered masculine signs.
Yep.
So there is this kind of attraction to each other.
Mm.
But then we have the Sun in Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
So the core of identity is longing to go deeper, to go to places where things are not so clear, things are
Mm-hmm.
darker, and things might change us.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Sun in Scorpio, there's this idea that I'm not always the same. I have all of these layers that I'm kind of peeling out and out
Yeah.
to discover who I really am. I would say the Sun in Scorpio might feel kind of called to go through different kind of, I don't know if life crisis, but different kind of reassessments of what is it that is vital to me? What is it that it's really vital to
Mm-hmm.
me?
Yeah.
Because what's vital to Scorpio
Mm-hmm.
is to a Sun in Scorpio, is to, because the Sun is our vitality, is to be
Mm-hmm.
able to go to the depths of each situation, to be able to
Mm-hmm.
connect profoundly with your emotions, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to see things that are hidden that other people don't want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And this, of course, creates a huge contrast with the Moon in Libra and the Sagittarius rising.
Yeah.
Libra
Definitely.
prefers to be nice and gentle,
Yeah.
and Sagittarius rising prefers not to see the darkness, to deny the ugly
Mm-hmm.
part of the world. And I would say the Moon in Libra also wants to deny the ugly part,
Yes. Yes.
in order to experience, to feel free. I'm talking about going back to Sagittarius, right? In order to experience and feel free.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a tension about these two kind of approaches to life. These two kind of, there are like two different cores, right? One that is optimistic, more rational perhaps, or more idealistic perhaps, not so much rational,
Mm-hmm.
more idealistic and optimistic,
Mm-hmm.
and and light-hearted or detached, more like, okay, let's enjoy and do things and let's just not get too involved. And then
Mm-hmm.
the other aspect that says, I will only feel alive when I'm involved. I only feel alive when I fight for what I want. I only feel alive when I go to this depth and discover who's truly inside. Now,
Yeah.
what is the gift? So what is the possible combination? The possible combination, so I would say that at first probably the person feels a sense of tension,
Mm-hmm.
but hopefully we're going to create an alchemy. We're going to create something new. This person is unique, and it's the alchemical combination of all of these planets by sign and
Mm-hmm.
house, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully they're going to create something that
Mm-hmm.
is unique
Mm-hmm.
and that can merge these two cores. So this could bring the idea of bringing light, bringing hope, bringing the sense of vision to a place that has to do with things that are hidden, things that we don't like to look
Yeah.
openly, with a sense of darkness. So there's kind of the promise of light and dark, I would say.
Yeah.
Finding hope and meaning in this sense of crisis and transformation. Am I talking too much, Rod? I'm sorry.
No, why? I always
Okay.
enjoy when people talk a lot. I'm just a listener.
Okay. I
Hey,
hope it makes sense to whoever said.
yeah, I think so. How do you feel about this, Anto? And also, well, we maybe will get feedback from Anto, all right? So, but let's go continue. We have another. I think you mentioned about one of our audience reply it on your Instagram talking about Sun in Pisces, another Moon in Sagittarius, but the ascendant is a Virgo. Well, should I start it with this?
Yeah, this one
For
you did
me,
because I spoke too
uh,
much.
yeah, no, it's not because it's easy. Well, what I mean is when we first read these three, Sun in Pisces, Moon in Sagittarius, and Ascendant in Virgo, the first we notice is these are three mutable signs. These are three mutable signs. So we have the sense about this person would be pretty flexible, and we know the big mutable signs of meaning is about future oriented, and they are learning to adopt the future. Doesn't matter South Hemisphere or North Hemisphere, but there is the feeling about like a learning, adopted, and go with flow. The go with flow. So three of the mutable sign is It's a big three. So that is the very beginning. It's a flexible and the go with flow. Somehow, I don't like give advice, but I will usually say this type of person is just enjoy the situation and see what turns up. That could be their key word. See what turns up. So never holding the things like I have to do this and that and must be happening right here, right now, and this and that. Another thing I enjoy is well, we have sun in Pisces and we have a moon in Sagittarius. That is pretty interesting because the both sides, well, although one is a water sign and the one is a fire sign, but they are ruled by Jupiter, so they are pretty kind of I would say, usually can take things what showing out is a little bit light-hearted or just like not going to make us feel so heavy and have a burden there. They are easily to just like let's look at the bright side of life. Let's look at the beautiful side of things. But the ascendant Virgo is quite interesting. But I usually like what I say is I take ascendant usually is a filter. So if I really want to say something, the ascendant is a filter according my previous experience, my interaction with other people. What I say will upset people. What I say will make people like me more or more acceptable for people. And like for Aries, there's a zero filter. There's a thing I say what I say. But this is a Virgo filter. Oh, I think it's a heavy filter. I'm definitely going to filter things, what I'm saying to be make things more efficient.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is how I take with these big three about the sun in Pisces, moon in Sagittarius, and ascendant in Virgo.
I feel there's also something about beliefs, right? With
Mm,
the sun in Pisces and the moon in Sagittarius, right?
mm,
Moon in Sagittarius needs to believe, needs to have a
mm-hmm.
purpose. And the
Yeah.
sun in Pisces is kind of, sun in Pisces, can react sometimes and they can become very rational and scientific.
Mm,
But if they don't react and they fully accept the Piscean energy,
mm-hmm.
usually they feel this kind of connection to something greater, something beyond reality. So I think there is a nice dialogue going
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
Now there is, I
Okay.
think, a split between the Virgo rising, which is I
Mm-hmm.
approach life in a more controlling way, in a way that I can understand and dissect life,
Yeah.
and the Sun, Pisces, Moon in Sagittarius, which is a core more like, okay, just go with the flow and let's see
Mm,
what
yeah.
life brings.
Yeah. Okay. Should we circle back to Ento because she just replied? Then that would
Yes.
be interesting. We have a dialogue with Ento. So Ento say, I definitely agree with your interpretation. There are tension there, but I feel my Libra moon enjoy trying to create a balance between darkness and light. A
Ah, beautiful.
flamingo.
You see, the owner of the chart always listen to the owner of the chart because our
Exactly.
interpretation is always theoretical. It's like
Yeah.
we are imagining what it must be like. The owner of the
Hmm.
chart is the one that always comes up with these beautiful images that make
Exactly.
so much sense. Yes.
Mm.
So, and
Yeah.
if you want to, if I may, if you want to, what you can do is to hold this idea of the moon in Libra, trying to bring a
Mm.
balance between light and dark, or all of these other words you can come up with, and then draw something. And this drawing that you do is a symbol that is trying to merge all of these ideas together. And because it's a symbol, it will allow you to hold the paradox. Symbols can hold paradoxes. So it might help giving your, this is a little bit, this is not astrology, I'm going into my other field, which is psychology. It might help giving your unconscious the idea that this can be integrated if you want to do it.
Mm.
It's not like you should do it. I'm just,
Yeah. 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 Thank you, Alejo, because this is very interesting to talking about, and exactly like you say, as a professional astrologer, listen to our client is a essential key. You learn how to listen your client, and you just reflect back to the chart. Chart is not
Yes.
100% right. Chart is a symbol. Client is the real person in the action. And
Yes.
we are the bridge, or we are the mediator in the, not even not mediator, we are the bridge into the two to connect the chart and the person, and how we work together. So thank you,
I
Anto,
mean,
for
I would
sharing your
say
experience.
I would say the chart is 100% right, but
Mm-hmm.
our interpretation definitely is not, because it's full of projections. It's full of what we
Yes.
think this is, what we think Taurus is, what we think
Yeah.
Scorpio is,
Yeah.
and only the person know what it's like to feel with that, what it's like to be with that chart. Yes.
Your word just make me remember a traditional astrologer. I think it's Persian traditional astrologer long time ago called Avicenna. I may be pronounced wrong, but is a great astrologer, and I even see a movie talking about him. Very interesting. And he's leading his student to looking in the stars and make a prediction talking about astronomy. He said, "I'm not against astrology. Planet may can explain everything, but the problem is in interpretation."
Good. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We also and to say I'm a psychology student, and I'm interested in fashion design. My son is 12 house and is very creative. Art is
Yes.
definitely my outlet. Alejo.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
thought your sun would be 12 because of the sun rising. I
Yeah,
thought probably the sun is in the 12th.
yeah.
Cool. Wow. Interesting. Your study
Thank you.
section.
Yeah, and I
Thank you
really,
for sharing all of that.
yes,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing with us. And that this is so beautiful of when we hear the real person, how they going to how they going to fulfill their chart and how they living out their chart. It's very beautiful. Should we continue with another chart example?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think another our audience see is express that Libra rising, but
Okay.
the Venus in Aquarius. So Libra, Aquarius, but Libra rising, the chart ruler Venus is in Aquarius, Moon in Cancer, Sun in
Cool.
Libra. It sounds a little bit like no, not the same. Okay, Moon in Cancer, but the Sun in Libra.
Okay.
So
So here we have, sorry, you want
yeah,
to go?
go on.
So Venus in Aquarius, so Venus in Aquarius is very important in this chart because
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
when you look at this is also, I didn't want to say it, but since now we're doing this case example, I'm going to say it. When Rod was talking about the big three, he was
Yeah,
saying we ask for the sun, the moon, and the rising sign.
yeah,
The rising sign is not a planet, it's a rising
true.
sign.
Yeah.
So to me, I feel I feel like a void. I need to know what
Mm.
is the planet that's ruling that rising sign and what is that
Mm.
planet doing in that chart.
Uh-huh.
Because if the ascendant is really the most personal point in the chart, which is what I believe,
Mm-hmm.
then the ruler of that most personal point becomes super important in a chart.
Yep. Yep.
So when I hear somebody's telling me I'm Taurus rising, well, if you're Taurus rising with Venus in Aquarius, you're a kind of Taurus rising. If you're Taurus rising with Venus in Scorpio, you're a very different kind of Taurus rising. So
Exactly.
I think it's so important to look at so I'm using Venus in this case because Venus rules Taurus, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's so important to know what is the planet that's ruling the ascendant and in which condition it is. It's in which sign it is, in which house, which aspects
Mm-hmm.
it's doing, because it's the I call it the presiding deity. This is the deity that's welcomed
Mm.
you to the world. Say, okay,
Yep.
welcome.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, this woman has Libra rising, so her
Mm-hmm.
presiding deity is Aphrodite. So there's
Mm.
something about her journey in the world that probably has to do with love. We were talking about Venus before, right? With
Yep.
love, values, relationships, our
Mm.
sense of worth.
Mm.
Probably a lot of those themes are going to be themes in her life because that's how she approaches life. She approaches life by thinking about those themes.
Mm.
She or he, I don't know. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yeah.
is gender bias. It's always a she. And so I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah, I try to be as neutral as I can, but my mind doesn't work. But anyway, so in this case, the chart has Venus in Aquarius, right? So Venus in Aquarius becomes super important for this
Mm-hmm.
person. And
Yeah.
what is it saying? It's saying that I value freedom. I
Mm-hmm.
value things that are different. I
Mm.
value things that are a little bit awkward. It doesn't really match the standardized way of seeing at things. I value aesthetics that challenge what is supposed to be normal. This is Venus in Aquarius, right? I
Mm.
value freedom. I value to be able to express myself, and
Mm-hmm.
I value differences. I value how we're all different, right?
Mm.
It may also be a little bit intellectual because it's an earth sign, but
Mm.
there
Yeah.
is a kind of openness, right, with
Yeah.
Venus in Aquarius.
Yeah.
Libra rising, Sun in Libra. Again, there's this kind of openness. There's this kind of I value you. You know, when we wouldn't use the word value, but it's like I am with the Sun in Libra. I am who I am depends on who you are, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
my sense of identity has to do with balancing the environment with the person that I have in front of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is this huge core in this chart that has
Mm.
to do with opening up to the
Mm-hmm.
other
Yeah.
and accepting the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the moon in Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So the moon in Cancer is almost the opposite. In
Yeah.
order to feel safe, I need to close. In order to
Yeah.
feel safe, I need to create a cocoon in where I'm protected.
Yes.
Is I'm not going to open up with everyone. I'm just going to open up in a place that I know it's a safe environment. I know I'm going to be protected.
Mm-hmm.
I need to create this kind of bondings
Yeah.
to feel safe. And I probably do it automatically. I do it without realizing. It's something I do naturally, right? I create this sense of belonging with the people
Mm-hmm.
I like and I feel attached to.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a difficulty, I think, in this chart in bringing together these two very different ideas. One is
Mm.
like I'm super open, I
Yeah.
value differences, and the
Mm-hmm.
other one is like I need to have a clear boundary to feel
Mm.
protected and safe, and a
Mm-hmm.
clear emotional boundary, I would say, to
Yeah.
feel protected and safe. And I need to be in touch with my feelings. I need to be able to
Mm-hmm.
express my feelings.
Yeah.
I need to be able to hug, to be nurtured, to feel nurtured, to nurture others, which
Mm-hmm.
is something very different to
Yeah.
Venus in Aquarius and in Libra.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting because well there's so many ways like when we beginning I say every astrologer has the different way to talk into about the chart combination of big three or anything of the chart. For example, I mean I don't know Alejo if you ever heard about some astrologer will talk about the I think probably also using the case in the faculty talking about one is passenger, one is the car driver, and one is the
Ah,
in the car. That is very interesting way, but well, I'm not 100% want to go there because that's some astrologers' way to take it. I'm more comfortable with my own way to talk about it. I just like use the need and want and how we filter it out, how we express it. So in this case, the moon for my interpretation, the moon in Cancer will be the need of a security and the need of a feeling and the need of that kind of gentleness surrounding,
yeah,
need of belonging, touch with the
yes.
people who are around them. And there is the sun. There's the sun in Libra. That's the rational way. So there is a feeling way, security way, feeling way. But the sun bring to another level of like glory. And what I want is a well-balanced society. So there is a core family, but there's developed in a relationship and the society to be fair to each other. And
Mm,
that Libra rising also take this out, say, hey, we should be nice to each other like we are at home.
mm.
So this is a very family oriented and like a personal oriented the combination. But very interesting because like you say, I like this uh chart ruler. So ruler of ascendant tell you something behind or tell you something what behind this idea. The Venus in Libra could be that want to be rational and more objective, more like we are all family, like big family,
The whole
brotherhood.
humanity is a family,
Yeah,
something like
brotherhood
that.
type things. it's a bigger and bigger, and it's quite interesting. But the core, I want to look after my family and people around me first.
Nice, very interesting. I think it's very nice what you did. Like you came to similar ideas, perhaps not exactly the same, but this is also interesting for
Yeah.
people to see how reading the same chart and using the same principles, each one of us kind of made a different focus. So it's not like
Yeah.
the interpretations we did are contradicting each other. They're just kind
Yeah.
of the light is placed in a different angle, let's say, on each,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting. I think
Yeah.
you've made a very interesting interpretation, Rod. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah, thank
I
you.
really
But
liked it.
what I say is, like you say, astrology are different, and that's how we met different clients. Because some client maybe hear what I say, which I go, it's not. I'm not happy with this interpretation. Maybe I will go to someone else. That's
Yeah,
fine.
of course.
That's fine.
Yes.
But we all attract different client and different things. So should we use a final example,
Okay,
our
let's.
last case from the internet, and then we can do a little bit closure about today's project. Okay. So in this case, I think we have the Sun in Sagittarius, Ascendant in Aries, then
Mhm.
Mars in Capricorn, but we don't have a moon sign. So
Ah,
yeah.
so the person is not worried about their moon. So, so what was it? Ascendant in.
Ascendant in Aries, Sun
Okay,
in Sagittarius. I think it's a very pretty Martian, pretty fiery, at least fiery. Ascendant in Aries, Sun in
it's like
Sun
they
in,
all
sun in
support each other
Sagittarius.
very much. I think.
That's why maybe ignore the moon, or just too hurry. Just like I'm killing something, fun.
Yeah, exactly. So the two, so Sun in fire, Ascendant in fire also. It
Yeah.
gives a lot of energy and drive, right, to this person.
Yes.
And then they have the Mars in Capricorn, which also is like very driven
Prominent.
and achiever. So this
Yeah.
person has the fire and the fuel to probably achieve their goals. And the Mars
Yes.
in Capricorn is the chart ruler. And if they are
Yes.
Aries rising, the Mars in Capricorn might be in the 10th house. So maybe they are like very driven
Mm,
to professional success.
yeah. Yeah. It is very interesting. I mean, when we see this chart, but all the message is like, wow, pretty
It was
active.
very clear from the beginning. Yeah, you read the things. It was like, okay, this is I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is a Mars, even Mars in Capricorn. I think that Mars in Capricorn will bring down in the end of the day. Will try to be more realistic and more careful. But there is, you couldn't stop me. If I once I stop, I'm not going to hang in there and doing the things. One thing I enjoy, I'm doing the chart in the combination. I couldn't stop myself. Let me say, is to catch up the similar keyword or similar, what should I say, idea. So
Yeah,
if different part of chart, like a planet and a house or a sign, are talking on the same theme,
yeah,
same issue, or same part of life area, then I will go there. I will go there because I think it's like very important. So it's repeat 3 times.
yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So like here, the Sun and the Ascendant were talking about similar thing.
Yeah.
Mars was also talking about a similar thing. So we immediately brought them together, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that is a very important key, to be honest, especially for the beginner, because yes, every part of the chart is important, but usually there are few chord, there are few theme
Yeah,
can hold on, and then from there it's like the main string is like a meridian, and then we start to wave things in. The things will develop with this major theme, and usually how we going to find it out is through we have a different technique. Like I know some like Sharon and some in traditional astrologer, they like so-called about that. It's very interesting, so-called chain of command. So they go to the this ruler and the dispositor, dispositor,
yes.
until finally final dispositor. That is a very interesting ancient technique, and you have the way to read it. And I don't really 100% go that way, but I will go to, I quite like what I say. I will go through the chart and go to every detail until I find the repetition. Something
Yeah.
keep coming out, and that's my way tell the story or my way to have a dialogue with my client.
Yeah.
Alejo, what's your favorite way to
What
put
I
things
do
together?
is I do the element balance, I do the
Mm-hmm.
modality balance.
Mm-hmm.
I look at anything that stands out, like the T square or if there are any aspect patterns.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the conditions of the planet. So if there is
Mm.
any angular planet or
Mm.
any unaspected planet, and I list them all.
Mm.
And then I start from there. So I say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
these are the key chart factors, right? So the key
Yeah.
chart factor is, let's say, the person has Mars rising.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, okay, what is Mars rising? It means this and this and that. Okay, is there anything else in the chart that is actually agreeing with this energy or is completely against also because of
Mm. Mm-hmm.
so I start making the list of things.
Yeah.
Usually you find things because these are the key chart
Yeah.
factors. So there are other things that are creating a dialogue with this. And
Definitely.
so I start creating the themes in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's very
It's similar
interesting.
to
I
what
mean,
you were saying.
yeah. I think because we are trained from the same school, so
Yes.
I enjoy because I also learn something else, but I feel very comfortable with this way, and it give me a very solid and a step by step way to read the chart. I don't want to say there's the only way. There's no only way.
No,
It's not. It's the way. Yeah.
actually, sometimes now I'm changing it a little bit. And
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
sometimes I'm more than doing that, I'm doing areas of life. So I'm doing, okay, finances. And
Yes.
second house ruler, maybe sixth
Mm-hmm.
house or
Oh
12th,
yes.
10th house of finances and work, let's say. Then I do relationship and I look
Mm-hmm.
at everything that has to do with self-expression. I look at everything that has to do with. So
Mm-hmm.
now
Mm-hmm.
sometimes doing it this way because when the person comes from for a natal reading only, to do the themes is very interesting. But when
Mm.
they come for the forecasting, usually they are worried about something very specific in their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think this is kind of more helpful to me to organize the material in this way. So I look at the forecasting and I clearly see what is being.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Another thing you just mentioned is client. Do they have a special request?
I always ask.
Yeah. So that's important. Like but for the beginner, they may not know. So if your client, if the person reading chart with a particular area they focus on, maybe you should go with that area. Maybe in the future we will share something like this. Maybe like how to focus on relation issue, how to focus on family or whatever. So that would
Maybe
be
we
very
can, yes.
interesting in the future. But I think we need the time to build it up. Okay. Thanks, Alejo. It's always pleasure to have a podcast with you. And
Thank you, Rod. It's a pleasure. The pleasure is
yeah,
mine.
thank you. And so thanks everyone. Thanks Anto and all the other our friend on the Instagram and also on the YouTube and the Facebook who share their data with us and going to discuss dialogue and discuss with us. So next week is the final week. Usually we have the fixed stars, and this time Christian and we are talking about the Denebe addition, but I think in the astronomy way they only call it Denebe. So this
Ah,
big star in the thickness, and we talk about Denebe addition. And then, so that would be a very interesting dialogue. I already uploaded, just waiting for next Friday to everyone can see it. And then, so, well, maybe we're going to see you next month, Alejo.
yes, hopefully we will meet next month.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Thanks, everyone. And thank you, Alejo. Bye.
Bye
Have a nice
bye.
weekend.